My name is Brenton House, and you are watching The Interconnected, a video podcast about everything because, well, everything is connected. From AI and APIs to cybersecurity and tacos. Your world is interconnected, and this is where you'll find the essentials for what you need to know today. Now, we kick off our first episode with part one of an interview with Phil Libin, co-founder and CEO of mmhmm. Now, we got Phil to reveal some top secret advice, and he also talks about how to never have another boring presentation ever. Be sure to also watch part two, where Phil answers the AI question that everyone is asking. So buckle up, because The Interconnected starts right now. All right, my name is Brenton House, and today I have a very special guest. I have the opportunity to talk with Phil Libin, CEO of All Turtles. Now, Phil has had quite the career, including being founder and CEO of Evernote. But more recently, you've done something very unique, and that is in leading the All Turtles team to adapt to the changes in 2020, the massive move to remote working, telecommuting, and remote video. You did that by creating a product called mmhmm. If you're not familiar with this software, it's basically magic for your videos and virtual calls. If you've been following me at all, you know for the last couple of years, I've used it for almost all my YouTube videos. It is something awesome. So this is very special. Phil, welcome. What have you seen with regards to going back to when you created the important things with virtual communication in this era of remote working?
Well, thanks for having me on, Brenton. It's really cool to be here. I like the background that you have with these numbers. We started as a joke. Honestly, a lot of things in my life start that way. I think and then get more serious. It was right after the pandemic started. So we were sitting around, I think it was like May or something of 2020, and everyone was kind of bored and depressed, sitting on infinite video calls. And we just made a thing to just try to make people smile a bit more on video. Put up funny backgrounds and slides and things like that. Pretty quickly figured out that actually we're onto something. Like, actually, video is a great way of explaining things. It's kind of the best way of explaining things. If you're doing a good job explaining, you're getting people that are nodding. You're kind of getting people, saying, you're hearing the name a lot if you're actually convincing people and you're explaining people. So but we decided to call it that. It kind of went from something we thought would just get us through COVID to something that is hopefully making communication better for everyone.
Well, I know it definitely has made communication better for me. And I've talked to several other people that do things similar to me. It's always amazing getting on calls, whether it's with customers or teammates. They're just amazed by the potential, and you're constantly cranking out new features all the time. You have an amazing team, and I know you know that.
I really thank you. I appreciate it. As I'm sure you and a bunch of your people in your audience who have built things know, it's actually, when you're building something, well, at least when I'm doing it, I just see all the flaws. And so I always have this like burning embarrassment about how many bugs and misfeatures and flaws there are in the product. It's very nice to actually step back from it and hear that other people find it useful. You said something really interesting, right? Like, a lot of people have this expectation that when they're on video, it's boring. It's kind of dry, right? And this was like everyone's experience. We were forced to do it because of COVID. But I thought that's not like that's inherent to the medium of video, right? There's plenty of video that's actually has no problem keeping our attention, right? There's like HBO and Netflix and movies. And there's a lot of video that is extremely entertaining and an extremely good way to communicate. It's just that when we were all kind of thrown onto a bad replacement for in-person meetings and everyone kind of sitting as individual, heads in a box on Zoom, it became boring, but it's because people didn't think that it was their job to be entertaining. And it kind of is. Like, it is everyone's job. And that's kind of the superpower in the modern world, is like being able to explain yourself. Biggest advantage you can possibly have. You want to be good at explaining yourself. You can't be boring people. If you're boring people, you're by definition failing at whatever it is that you're trying to do. And video can be really entertaining and a really good way of explaining yourself. And so we're just trying to make the tools that let people who want to be good on video to be good on video.
I don't know how many times over the years that you see people trying to use PowerPoint, basically see every word that they're going to say on that PowerPoint slide. Not only is it distracting, but sometimes it's not effective in helping their audience, whether it's a small meeting or a large meeting or a presentation. One of the things that I found really useful, and I can't remember the last time now I've had to do a PowerPoint presentation now that mmhmm's been out, but be able to put text up on screen like you did earlier, and it allows you to tap into your creative side and be able to talk to the audience in a way that can help them understand. Not everybody learns the same way. And I think we've just trained ourselves for so many years that PowerPoint is the only way to be able to communicate to people. And I think this is the dawn of something new in communications. You know what? You can do something different. It doesn't have to be the same.
I think that's right. I think this is kind of the crucial point here is this, right? It's the point of empathy. As like a product maker, this is important to think through. If you're trying to communicate, like that communication, like that PowerPoint deck or whatever, like is the product that you're making. And the question is like, where is your point of empathy? Most existing tools put the point of empathy in the wrong place. They put it with the presenter. But the point of empathy in communication should not be with the presenter, with the speaker, should be with the listeners, because there's more of them than there is of you. And they're the ones you're trying to convince, right? They're the ones that you want to buy in. So if you're thinking about how do I make it easier for me, for the person doing the presenting, you're kind of already losing. But like entertainers understand this, right? Yeah. If you're entertaining, the point is not to make it easy on the entertainer. The point is to make it good for the audience. Well, if you're presenting and explaining, it's exactly the same thing. And so things like PowerPoint, Edward Tufte, very famous designer. Edward Tufte has this book called The Cognitive Style of PowerPoint. It's actually a little pamphlet, but it's worth reading. And it makes the point that PowerPoint is very bad at explaining, at pitching. But what we've realized is it's actually not a flaw with a particular software. It's actually, you can use PowerPoint really well. You can use Keynote really well. You can use Zoom really well. The problem isn't with the software. The problem is the way that we use it, the way that we're trained to use it, puts the point of empathy on making it easier for the presenter. So for example, with PowerPoint, it makes it really easy to do bullet points. Well, what the hell are bullet points? Bullet points are incomplete thoughts. It makes it easier for the presenter to fart out a bunch of bullet points and pretend that they've just like made some coherent statements, but they haven't. They've just done like little sentence fragments. Like that's not better for the audience. That's better for the presenter. There's all sorts of tools that let you like hit a button and then just like record yourself talking about this, doing a screen share, recording. Again, it's very easy to make low quality recordings, but that's not useful for the audience. That's useful for you, but which is the wrong person to be useful for. The ultimate example of this is voicemail, right? Like old fashioned voicemail. Like voicemail sucks. I don't know if anyone still has voicemail. I stopped using voicemail like 20 years ago. For the past 20 years, my voicemail message says, hey, I never checked this, so don't leave me a message. Voicemail makes it easy for you to leave a message, but it makes it really difficult for someone to listen to the message. The last thing we need is video voicemail. What we need is something that it's okay if it's a little bit harder to make, if you have to be a little bit more thoughtful, if you have to put in, some visual material, some slides, you think a little bit about how you want to get your point across. Not too difficult, but we want to make it easy to make things that are effective, that are really good, that put the point of empathy, which is on the audience. And if you do that, you have superpowers, if you know how to do that right.
Hey, Brenton here to remind you to take a break and grab a taco. Oh, who am I kidding? We all know you don't need to wait until break time to eat tacos. Phil is about to answer the one AI question that everyone is asking. But in order to see this, you need to finish this video and then go to the YouTube channel where you can see part 2 of this interview. But right now, let's continue because Phil's about to give away the big secret for, I better let him tell you.
As an investor or entrepreneur, I have this kind of framework for how I evaluate what I want to be involved with and how we at Alternates evaluate what we want to do. And there's basically 4 criteria. They're all really simple, but shockingly, they eliminate 99.9% of like pitches that I hear. It's basically really straightforward. So the first one is it has to solve a real problem. Already, boom, 90% done. 90% of things that you hear about aren't solving real problems. There's not every company has to solve a real problem. There's a method of entrepreneurship where you're just doing something very creative that's not necessarily solving a problem. I respect that a lot. I don't know how to do it. So what I focus on is very much the problem solving type. So like, for example, like you can say Instagram was an example of something that wasn't really solving a problem. Like no one really had a problem. There's already photo sharing sites. It just made something really delightful and creative and beautiful. And so, props to that. It's just not our style of what we do. At Evernote, we're very much solving a problem, which is like, right, I'm just being flooded by too much information. It's all over the place. I can't find it, right? So first thing is to solve a real problem. And then how do you know if it's a real problem? Well, there's a good test is you have to find actual living human beings alive right now that tell you this is a real problem that I'm having right now. And it's a pretty high impact one. So it's not like a hypothetical problem that may happen in the future. The real problem right now is a good test. Another good test is most real problems are old. There's not that many new problems. Like most actual problems have been around for a while. So like if you have to kind of invent a new problem, chances are you're failing that first criteria. So real problems, usually problems have been around for a long time. But the second criteria is that but you couldn't fix them until now. Something has changed in the world to make a potential solution possible this year in a way that would have been crazy to do 2 years ago. Like 2 years ago, you couldn't have done it. But right now is like the first year in the history of the universe that you could solve this problem. And you got to do it during the first year that it's possible. Because if you wait too long, then you're waiting too long, right? Then it's going to be solved already by somebody else. So what is it that changed to take something from being impossible a few years ago to being possible now? Usually that's a technology change. A lot of AI, a lot of computer vision. Every year something new is possible. Sometimes it's a societal change like COVID, but you have to kind of look at that. So like what old problem is solvable in a new way today in a way that was never solvable before? Those are the main criteria. The other two are, we need great founders, someone who like is in love with the problem, not so much with the solution, is willing to iterate through multiple solutions, but is in love with the problem. And the last one is just our financial model is that we only do direct revenue. So nothing that's indirect revenue. So everything we work on is, it has to make money because people want to pay for it. Not like selling your data or whatever, no indirect revenue, no advertising, just direct revenue. I'm not saying that should be true for everyone. That's just only true for things that we work with. Those are our 4 criteria. And again, they all sound basic, right? Solve a real problem in a way that's possible now that wasn't possible before, with great passionate founders who are in love with the problem, and in a way that only makes money when people want to pay for it. Okay. 4 basic things. It eliminates 99.9% of ideas.
So I have another question that I'm asking people as I talk about everything that's connected. And as we talked about today, communication is tied to AI, is tied to humans, is tied to relationships, and even PowerPoint. But I always say everything's tied to tacos because, well, everybody loves tacos. Well, not everybody, but so I have to ask you a question. What is your favorite taco?
I love taco. But my maybe in a different way. So my favorite taco is taco Japanese, which just means octopus. I like, Mexican tacos, great. But, oh man, go to Japan, eat some octopus, which is just called taco. It's the best.
Oh, that's funny.
I've also had octopus tacos, which is sort of a mashup between, Japanese and Mexican. They're really, really good. There's some creative tacos as well. But when I hear taco, this is what I think of, because I basically eat my weight in Japanese food every time I'm over there.
See, now I have an illustration to be able to remember that now. I'll probably never forget that now.
It's the first Giphy that came up when I searched for it.
Thank you again. I appreciate it. And I look forward to having follow-up conversations too about some of this as the world changes and where you see everything going with this.
Brenton, anytime. Thanks for having me on.
All right. Thank you.
Take care.
Thanks for watching. You can join the more than 400,000 other viewers in becoming a subscriber so you can be informed on important stuff like how do you make a great octopus taco. You also don't want to miss part 2 of this interview on the YouTube channel, and you can find the link in the show notes below. Well, I'm Brenton House, and until next time, may your data be secure and your tacos be delicious.